What's going on? It is Sir Studmuffin, leader of Affliction, and this is our first recap. So this will be recap number one, war win number 44 against Exodus. Quickly scroll through um, our war log just to see kind of what we have. We're 44, 3, and 2, I believe. Um, let's go ahead and look at this war. We did fairly well. Go ahead and pull up the stats real quick. Um, TH8, all 3-star. The only thing we messed up on was our TH9 attacks, actually. Go ahead and show what they did to our bases. Um, Basically got our low TH8s. They did get a low TH9 on a bully attack, and 3-starred it, and then 2-starred all of us, which was kind of interesting. That was actually the first time. Um, let's go ahead and kick this off, though. We're going to start with Waffle's attack on 1. Um, and his attack, I already talked about it in my first prep video. He pretty much does the attack I was talking about. Let's go ahead and walk through it, see some of the things he did. So notice the golems. The golem dropped exactly like I said. The whiz funnel on the sides. Notice the wizards and how he funneled it. He started out and then it's going in. He's got the whiz heavy on the inside, which is going to allow his troops to go into the core. And we'll keep watching. You're going to notice he's got a good funnel here. Does take the barracks out, then drops all his troops. Really good funnel. It was a bit of a natural funnel, to be honest. That's all right. Notice the rage spell. Okay, he's got a large, massive troop, so it's going to take out the CC super quick. All right, so takes out the CC, drops the heal spell, takes out the heroes real quick, and he's got a nice mass of troops on the left side. Drops the jump spell. So first part of the plan, first and second part, the initial funnel and his troops go in. Then he's got 2 for 1 trade on the top left and top right, dropping 2 hogs per defense. Drops the barbs on the top. I can't think right now. Barbs on the top. I mean, it's just to help with cleanup a little. They honestly don't do a whole lot. And then it's pretty much over. So it's a pretty standard attack, to be honest, for hogowiwi. It's a pretty interesting attack. We went pretty light on the hogs. That's all right. And I think it was a good call for hogowiwi. Notice, at least I didn't see, he might have, I didn't see any GB at the bottom. I think the GB, yeah, they're at the top. So that was an extreme weakness of the base. It allowed his troops to go into the core, basically take it out real quick with little resistance, and it also allowed the troops to enter from the bottom. Especially giant bombs are a good defense against witches, which is why you don't want to use gowiwi on a base with a large core. You want to use gowipe because the P.E.K.K.A.s can survive the giant bombs and whatnot, and they don't really affect them. So if you know giant bombs are in a large core, you don't want to use gowiwi. You want to use gowipe, and it is a good counter to a large core to base. The next base I'm going to show, actually the next attack I'm going to show you, base number 2. This is my attack, and the reason I'm showing you this is because I actually messed up a little. I want to show you why I messed up, and number 2, I actually changed up my plan um, because of right here. Notice this area, actually, you can't deploy troops, and there are enough space with the walls and whatnot for Tesla here, uh, Tesla here, and then 2 giant bombs in between, and the same on the other side. So that would not be good for hogs, and it's an anti-hog base. So Lavaloonian, or actually Golaloon, was a possible strat, but I decided to use logowipe. Um, Here's why. Like I said, top entry with the ARD is going to be fairly simple. Um, and then once I get to the core, you can actually just, these ARDs are fairly well exposed. You also got the troops on the side. And this is actually a foreign base. It's called the the moat, or sorry, the Diamond Tesla moat. So let's go ahead and watch this attack. And all right, so we do a 1-for-1 trade at the bottom. We're going to use 4 hogs for the bait. I just wanted to be safe, to be honest. Might have been a little bit overkill, but let's go ahead and watch. Man, this lag. I'm sorry about the lag. Let's see. I think my screen's freezing a little. All right, here we go. So get the full bait, pretty simple. Bring it to the top. Fast forward a little. All right, so we get the troops at the top, drop the kill squad. Notice the loon. I'm going to talk about the loon AI real quick, and why it's a good defensive CC troop. Number one, it is good defensive because the new AI causes your troops not to lock onto CC and enemy heroes as easily. So what it's going to do is it doesn't take as much of a priority as it used to. So if your troops are locked onto some sort of barrack or something like that, then it won't disengage that defense or building or whatnot and lock onto the CC. Instead, it continues now on the structure. And notice on this attack how that works. So they take out that top area and then they go for the CC troops. That loon is going to hurt because it does a lot of damage to golems, and it takes a long time, so it will hurt your troops in the later parts. So you really want to bait if you can. On Go Loon, it's fairly questionable. But yeah, I mean that loon really will hurt, and actually hurt my second attack for the war. And messed up my kill. So next part was the spells. Drop the jump spell to get into the core. Heal spell on the troops once they engage with the GB, and then the rage spell on the core as well. And the troops are just going to tear through the middle of the base fairly quickly. Now they do have. I probably should drop my jump spell a little so that my troops could jump in to the TH area, because they do have to go through the wall. The other thing I should have done at this time, I should have already killed this top left archer tower with 2 loons. And you're going to see that it does kind of pick off some of my whiz. And I actually thought that whiz top was going to kill it. So that was a mistake. Queen kind of just bangs on the walls here. Doesn't do a whole lot there. Maybe the other thing you want to do here is when the ARD, once my troops are targeted to the ARD, I need to be dropping the loons, because the loons take a sec, so you got to account for that, and I did not do that. But the main issue I had was the cleanup. On my attack, there was a part where I dropped 4 whiz, and I should have dropped 2 whiz, because you have cleanup right here at the bottom, and you have cleanup right here, and you're going to notice that I actually run out of time, maybe even on the side as well. But one of those areas should have been taken out by the whiz fairly earlier, had something for that, because you're going to see, I think it was like 50 seconds, something like that, and I just run out of time. So it was a good attack, but I didn't think about the last part of the attack, and I was actually surprised there, but it was one of the in the moments kind of deal where you're doing so much that you kind of forget. But it's very important to think about cleanup when you're attacking, and that ultimately is why I failed this attack, or I didn't get the 3-star. So next attack we're gonna watch is a TH9. It's pretty standard. It's a goho attack. Standard goho, no jump spell needed. It's going to be 4 heal spells and just 2 wall breakers. Fairly easy. Archer Queen at the top. Starts off though with the bait. Just easy bait. And this is a cleanup attack, so I knew there was a dragon. That's why he just did 2 hogs. Brings the troops to the top. Go ahead and fast forward to the CC kill. Fairly standard. One thing you always want to do when there's a dragon, you want to use a whiz, or really you want to drop your archer queen, because that archer queen locks onto the dragon. The witches skellies do distract the dragon, and that is a good counter, but the dragon they don't do a whole lot of damage to the dragon. They just kind of it takes them too long. So that's why you want to use the queen. Next thing you'll notice, he takes out the queen fairly simple. He just had to drop two wall breakers with the golem. And notice his deployment. Oops, I messed that up. So I kind of sped through it. So let me go ahead. Let me go back and watch this again. What he does is a two finger deployment in two areas. So I guess you can call it a four-finger deployment. And the reason he does this is because of the GB placement. And I think this is kind of interesting. I usually don't like to split my troops up, but I think it's appropriate on this base just because you need to be able to avoid the giant bombs at all costs. So let's go ahead and watch this again. Takes out one giant bomb with his BK, which is nice. And then you're going to notice the hogs. So he drops the heal spells right here and right here. Single GB there, but then there's actually another giant bomb, so he takes it one at a time. And that's really important because I think Slaughter attacked this base and it messed him up. So there's the second giant bomb. Hogs stay alive, heal in the core, and that's important because his troops did converge at the core. That's excellent padding. That's why I wanted to show this base or this replay. And then it's pretty much over. We'll go ahead and speed through it. It's just cleanup now. There's really nothing else. But it was a really solid attack, Tim. I like the ingenuity. I think the two-finger deployment on two different areas, so I guess you can call it, like I said, four-finger, was interesting, and here's what he used. But I thought that was definitely a good call, and I think it's necessary. You have to be able to account for the double giant bombs, and they will screw up your hog attack. You can't just, in a lot of cases, you can't just path around them. Sometimes you can, but if you can't path around them with one area deployment, then you need to do two in some cases. So this next attack is going to be Alpha's attack. This is on a base that I talked about in the TH8 video. We're going to go ahead and watch this. I'm not going to talk about the planning too much. You can watch that video. Starts off with the golem drop. Fairly easy. I would have dropped the whiz a little wider. Probably would have gone those gold mine and the army camp because those two archer towers are locked on. Next thing he does here, drops the wall breakers in with a rage spell, which is very important because he needs to get his troops into the core. They do get all the way to the core. There's actually a wall in the core by the TH, but it does get his troops in. Notice the loon, and we're going to see how that affects this attack. Drops the two loons on the side. That's perfect. That helps with the funnel a little. Helps a little with cleanup in the end. And allows his whiz to get in on the top and left compartments. So here goes the loon in attacking his... notice how it just dropped one bomb. Takes out the golem and splits it into two. He does get a P.E.K.K.A that goes around, but he has enough in the core for the funneling. So those loons were very effective. Look how much defenses they took out. And this loon now is hitting his BK. It finally does go down, but he is able to haul out the core fairly easy. Whiz on the top, you can notice the cleanup that's going to go into this. And now we're starting to get into the cleanup phase of the attack. Notice he's got 5 wizards left in his attack, which is really important. One thing he does, though, is if you watch, he dropped his loons all at the top, and he follows his troops with the loon, meaning that his loon worked with his troops. That's not what I would have done. And the reason for that is because he has so much troop amassed at the top that there's no point. They're just going to take out the defenses fairly easily. So I would have dropped the 2 loons on this archer tower right here, or on this archer tower to the bottom, I guess bottom left, or bottom. But that's important because you want to consider that for timing, and you want the loons to be more useful, because really, if you watch these loons, they don't do a whole lot. I mean, they take this can out with ease, and then it just peters out and dies. So, I mean, in terms of time, it does nothing, and his troops have to go all the way to the end. He does have enough time, but I mean, I think he was fairly short on time, actually. So, That's something definitely to consider. It was a good attack though, fairly easy base to be honest. But that's, you got to remember that you want to drop your loons away from your troops, if at all possible. If there's a huge amassment of troops, because otherwise your loons aren't going to do anything if they're just sitting right next to the troops, and that's pretty important. So the final base we're going to show, base number 6 was the same base TP attack. I'm saving that for a hog attack. I'm not going to show any dragon raids because I'm saving those for a dragon attack video how to. So the final attack we're going to look at one of Steven's. I think I like this attack on 7 more. Let's go ahead and see what the base looks like. Let's see, that's 7, and let's look at 10. No, we're going to go with 7. I think 7's a better base. It's a little harder. So let's go ahead and watch this attack. So I believe this base actually changed up as well from my prep video. So notice how much space is in the base. I don't remember if this was a cleanup or not. But let's go ahead and watch this attack. So notice his hog numbers, and he does bring the goblins. Just a side note on those, they do help with cleanup. They're actually kind of nice because they attack so quickly. I think it's kind of funny though. But yes, goblins for cleanup do help. Starts off with a 4. Wow, so he gets a GB at the beginning. Takes out the CC troops. Doesn't look like he gets a defense, but that's okay. He got a GB with the bait, so that's pretty important. Let's go ahead and fast forward through the CC kill. Fairly standard CC kill. That loon is going to be a bit of a nuisance, and we're going to watch why. But he has his own dragon, and that dragon's going to be able to take out that loon fairly easy. So another thing to consider. Next thing he does, he drops a one loon trade at the bottom. It's a really effective use of a loon. Drops the hogs in a 2-finger deployment at the top. That pathing is excellent. Watch this pathing. Goes right to the core. He's able to drop a heal spell. That heal spell is a little late though. He needs to be dropping that already. But he saves it and drops it on the sides. Like I said, I would have definitely dropped that first heal spell earlier, and I would have dropped it kind of by the CC, and then I want to drop the second one right on the TH, because there's a large amassment of troops, kind of just like in the middle, but I would have dropped that higher. He just destroys his base. There doesn't look to be any GBs, so he does kind of get lucky there. But I think his pathing was pretty solid. Even if there was a double GB, more than likely it wouldn't have been in the middle, and his troops would have diffused it one at a time, or hit it one at a time. So I think that's pretty important as well. And the ending GBs are actually at the bottom. So that was actually a really dumb base design on the enemy's part, and I thought it was pretty pointless for the most part to have GBs. I mean, a GB in that location literally does nothing. Just something to consider. Alright, so that's just about going to end up this video. We're not going to show any defenses just because I don't want to show our design. I still haven't decided what I want to do in regards to the channel. We're still talking about it for the most part, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm saving some of the TH8 raids. Most of them are dragons, so I want to save that for a dragon attack video. How to, my opinion on the dragons. It's going to be my first how-to video, and I think it's important because a lot of TH8 still use dragons. It's an effective attack up to a point. Certain bases can use it, or you can use it on, but that's about it. So hopefully you like this video, and I hope you all have a good day.